Hello again, my name is Ezra and welcome back to the channel. So today I wanted to do something a little different. I'm going to be doing my anime tier list. So these are the 21 anime that I have watched, and Ruby, which counting as an anime, and then I guess Castlevania. They're both basically anime, they're just not Japanese. So yeah. Just gonna go through, put them on the tier list, I'll say what I like about the shows, but I'm not going to spoil anything. I'm gonna try not to. Like, it'll just be, like, I like the characters or the writing, and, like, maybe I'll say, like, I didn't like the ending, or, like, the ending was amazing for, like, particular reasons, but I'm not going to say any specifics. But saying like an ending is bad or something or other could be seen as spoilers by some. So just to let that in mind. I guess I'll go left to right. So if you don't want to get spoiled on any of these shows as I'm going along, I get that they're cropped poorly, but I can tell what they are, and anyone who's seen them can tell. You can tell for the most part what each of them are. So I'm just going to go left to right, I guess, and just say my thoughts on it. Rank it on... I wanted to have, like, some criteria for how I was ranking it, but I can't really think of a good list. So it's probably just going to be, like, the ending, because that has a big impact. The characters separate from the story, like the character writing separate from the story writing. And then, I don't know. There are other, like, minor details, but probably just, like, how I feel about it. Because, like, that's entirely opinionated and subjective. But, like, it's pretty obvious if something has good or less than good writing. So, starting with Blue Exorcist. It's been a while since I've watched this, and I have a really bad memory, but I think that it would go in, like, B or low A tier. It's pretty good. It's pretty average. Like, it's your typical shonen, main character, special power. It's been a long time since I watched it. It's got a lot of nice, like, slice of life aspects. It's very cool. Like, they do actually do the characters very well, and, like, their personal feelings, and it's got a lot of slice of life bits to build up the characters and, like, your connections to them, and they all interact in fun ways. But, like, it's not outstanding in any particular regards. It's just an all-around good show. So B is, like, not low. It's not bad in any way. It's just standard, basic. Yeah, I don't want to call it basic. It's good. It's like a good mix of slice of life and the hype, like, shonen action stuff. So next, Attack on Titan. So I don't know how I really feel about Attack on Titan, because obviously it is, like, a masterpiece. It's, like, masterfully written. The characters are all pretty super well written. Like, everyone agrees that it's, like, a masterpiece. But it's also, like, everyone's baby's first anime. Like, everyone has seen it. Like, that's most people's first anime that they watched. And, like, well, it is obviously amazing, and, like, it does so many things so well. I just personally don't enjoy it as much as other animes. Like, it's obviously it's not a fun anime. It's very dark and gritty, and, like, it's about war and, like, the tragedies of humanity. But I don't know. I just don't like that theme very much. It's incredibly well written. It is, like, I'd say I'd agree that it is probably a masterpiece, But for me, I'd either put it like at the bottom of S, depending on how many anime I end up putting up here. I'd say it's like the bottom of S or top of A. Like, it's a great anime, but I personally do not enjoy it a ton. Very hype, lots of fun at times, though. But, like certain anime down here, I will go back to specific scenes and rewatch because of how hype it is, or, like, the feelings in the moment and how much I love that moment. I don't typically do that with Attack on Titan. Like, there are only a couple of moments that, like, I enjoy going back and rewatching. Next, Mob Psycho 100. Mob, mob, what do you want? Mob, mob, what do you want? Mob, mob, who do you want? Move just like mob. This, I can definitively say, is my third favorite anime. Such a good show. Oh, also, I forgot. Attack on Titan, the ending. I have not read the manga, and obviously the anime is not finished yet, but I've heard a lot of things saying that the ending is not great, and I think that that soured my experience a bit. I haven't even seen it yet, but I've heard so many people say that it was such a bad or disappointing ending that that's, like, probably dropped it a bit in my mind, even without thinking about it. Mob Psycho 100, on the other hand, the last episode, there was just, like, one very minor detail that wasn't there that I wanted to be there, but it's, like, nailed the ending. It's a 3-season show. It's not short, but it's not long. Like, it's a good length for a proper show, and nails it. All 3 seasons. Like, that is a masterpiece. The animation, the animation's amazing, but the art style is what some would call ugly or strange. And I would agree. In, like, season 1, a lot of it is, like, very intentionally drawn ugly. Like, characters look really ugly, except for, like, the main characters who look kind of basic. But that's kind of the point. It's like, no one's special, really. But it's, like, what you make of yourself. But it's the original author of a webcomic who, his name was One, and he is not an artist. He is very bad at drawing, and he did both Mob Psycho 100 and One Punch Man, and they, like, tried to follow that art style with a bunch of stuff in Mob Psycho 100. And, like, during important moments or serious moments, the art style gets a lot better, and the animation just pops off. Same thing with One Punch Man, but it's the opposite. One Punch Man is always in, like, a superior art style, and then for, like, comedic moments will pop back into One's art style. Which, it's not necessarily bad, it's just very different and off-putting to some people, but the story writing, the character writing is absolutely amazing in Mob Psycho 100. Absolutely love it. It tackles a lot of, like, tough problems, like, it's just an amazing story. Like, having... I don't know how much I want to talk about these shows, because I don't want to spoil anything. I don't know if I should give, like, a synopsis of the plot or what, but it's an amazing show. It's child psychic who's basically a god. He's in middle school, and he's, like, stressed and can't show it, can't feel those emotions. He represses everything because he can't let his psychic powers get out of control. So it's just a middle schooler. I want to say that he has autism, but it's never really confirmed, and I am not expert in that in any way, but I can, like, say with confidence he is, like, on the spectrum. So, like, it's just very interesting. And you get to see this middle schooler struggling with all these problems, like these psychic problems, emotional problems, and it's just, like, how do you grow as a person? Like, how are you going to carry yourself in this world with your special abilities, with your talents? Like, what are you going to do? I don't know. I don't want to spoil anything, and that's really hard to do, but it's just such a good show. You guys need to watch it. Absolutely love it. Jujutsu Kaisen. Come out recently. I mean, recently. It's like past 2 years or something, right? 2 or 3 years now. Season 2's coming up sometime this year or next year, I think. It's pretty good. I don't know where I'd put it. It obviously doesn't have an ending yet. So far, it's very interesting. It's like another shonen. Basically, it copies every single trope from every single anime ever, but it executes on them better than the original, which is really fun. And I don't know, it's very hype. The character writing, really good. The plot, so far, it's pretty straightforward. It's pretty much like a cookie-cutter plot, same as every other shonen anime. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. They do it very well, the characters are very well written. I'd put it in, like, A tier. 7 Deadly Sins. That's such a tough one, because I love this show so much, but man, is it awful. I'd put it at like bottom of B, top of C. The characters are absolutely amazing. Their backstories, their like tragedies. Season 1 builds up the mystery of the 7 Deadly Sins super well, and you're just learning about these legendary heroes, way more powerful than every other knight that's in the land. And then they just go missing for 10 years, go into hiding, and you go around and you're collecting them like Infinity Stones, and they're all just so powerful and cool, and there's these cosmic mysteries of like, what's going on? Who are these people? Why are they so powerful? And then you slowly start to develop those mysteries. And usually, that's where some shows will start to, like, not crumble, but it's just, it loses a bit of its charm, because you move away from it being the, like, mystery and the wonder to knowing what they are, and it's just normal. But the 7 Deadly Sins delivers on those mysteries. They have these deep, intimate backstories. It's all so cool, and even as you learn the mysteries and like unravel them, and like, yeah, it's no longer a mystery, but it's just a tragedy, and you learn all this about these characters, and it's so cool. You love it so much. But the plot, season 1, very straightforward, very obvious, and it all makes sense. It all tracks. Season 2, also, like, it's a bit of a turn, because they kind of resolve Season 1 pretty cleanly, but Season 2 still works. Very good. And then Season 3, they changed animation studios because they tried to make a 7 Deadly Sins movie that obviously flopped, because why would it succeed? Because it's not adding anything to the characters, it's not canon. I don't think that it was ever in the manga. Like, it wasn't something written by the author. So the movie kind of didn't add anything to the characters, doesn't add on the story. It was kind of like out of time, because certain characters were there and other characters were also there, where the timeline doesn't quite line up for them to be capable of being there at the same time. Unless they're just ignoring the plot from Season 2 and they just went off to do this side adventure, and it just doesn't make sense. So obviously the movie flopped, and then the animation studio just dumped it. So then Season 3 and 4, specifically Season 3, a lot of it looks like a slideshow presentation drawn by, like, a high schooler. Like, some of it is so bad. But that doesn't matter all that much. Plot stays decent in Season 3. Continues with building more characterization. There are a couple of contrivances that they don't matter that much, but like some people could be annoyed by them, but it's all fine. It's staying the course. But the ending of Seven Deadly Sins is just so bad. They just do not stick the landing. Like, all of the character stuff is really good, all handled super well, and, like, they resolve everyone's personal character stories really well. They do a good job with that. They do not resolve the overall story plot very well, which is quite unfortunate. But it is a very fun show, and I do love the show. But as an anime, it does have its flaws, and I want to put it higher than B tier, but I kind of can't. I will put it above Blue Exorcist. I do enjoy it more than Blue Exorcist. Yeah, talking about it convinced me to keep it away from C. I don't know why I even thought about putting it in C. Anyway. I love that show. Next. Devil is a Part-Timer. This one's a fun one. This is basically just a comedy, whereas the others are almost all shonen. This one's just a comedy. You got Dark Lord Satan, powerful ruler of this other realm, and he's going to this holy war against this legendary hero of the church with these angelic powers to fight off his dark demon powers. And he's kind of losing, so he decides, I'm just gonna warp out, new world, get my powers, like, rebuild my strength and my armies, and I'll come back to this dimension, and I will conquer it, kill the hero, take over everything, and you guys won't be able to stop me. So he dips through his own magic portal just to get out of the demon realm, or not demon realm, they're just in another world. Reverse Isekai, he comes to modern-day Japan. And our world doesn't have magic. So all he has is his pathetic reserves of magic from what's left after fighting that huge fight and opening an interdimensional gateway. So he is in modern-day Japan. He brings one of his demon generals with him, and they're both almost entirely out of magic. So they have to get a crappy apartment, they have to figure out basic living needs, and Satan has to go and get a fast food job at a McDonald's, part-time, just to make enough money to have both of them live in Japan. The show is absolutely hilarious. It's got very, like, straightforward comedy plots and, like, sitcom plots as well. It does have some anime hype moments, like fights and big magical spectacles. The animation is actually great in those moments, and, like, the character writing is also pretty good. Like, all in all, it's a pretty solid show. I'd put it in B. It is purely a comedy, though. Like, it doesn't give you the same feelings as a proper anime. But man, is it great. It's a really fun show. You should give it a watch. It's pretty short. There's only 2 seasons. Both have, like, 12 episodes, I think. Great comedy. Very fun. One Punch Man. Also by one. Also great. I'd put it at top of A. Very fun show. It only has 2 seasons so far, but I have read the manga. Not going to rank it off the manga, just off the anime. Great show. Got a lot of, like, very heartfelt moments. It's a lot about, like, what does it mean to be a hero. You've got this depressed superhero, kills everything in one punch. He just can't get any joy in life anymore because he just became a superhero for the fun, fighting monsters, saving people. But he doesn't have to even try. Just one tap and everything's dead. He's holding back so much, stuff just dies, and he wants even a semblance of a fake fight, doesn't get it. One punch, everything dies. And then you have all the other characters living in the story, and even though Saitama is out there walking around one-punching these monsters every now and then, everybody else, these are really dangerous monsters, and they have their own lives and motivations and, like, their goals. And Saitama might be the strongest hero, but he's not everywhere. He's not, like, constantly moving around at light speed trying to wipe out all evil on the planet. So you have these normal people that are dealing with these monsters that they cannot one-punch. In fact, most of these monsters would just one-punch them and kill them pretty easily if it were for, like, other normal heroes, and the normal heroes also struggle against these monsters. And you just get a lot of, like, down-to-earth, like, human, relatable moments. And it's also a pretty great comedy. It's just an all-around good show. Stellar writing for characters, the plot, everything. Season 1 is also... It was animated by, like, they pulled together a ton of, like, independent animators and had them all, like, work together to basically match the manga, because while one is not a great artist, a really good artist named Murata ended up contacting him saying, I want to draw this better. I want to make this into a manga with you. And so they worked together and made the manga. And Murata, I don't know how to pronounce his name correctly, he is a very good artist. And so they pulled all these animators together to animate One Punch Man. And it might be the best animated show that exists. Like, Season 1 of One Punch Man is really peak animation. Season 2, at some parts, the animation is pretty bad, but for the most part, it's just average. Like, it's good animation at some parts, mostly average. A couple of spots that aren't great. Like, between the animation and the sound design. But it's not that bad. But Season 1 is so perfect that Season 2 kind of doesn't look great by comparison. But I don't care too much about animation when it comes to anime, except for Seven Deadly Sins, because, man, they butchered Season 3 and 4. Absolutely ruined. Like, it literally looks like a slideshow in some parts. It's really not great. But One Punch Man, great show. Next. Baki. So, it's very cut off here. Most of the other ones you can kind of tell what it is. Baki is very cut off. I'd probably put it in D tier, maybe C tier. Animation, very weird, lots of CGI. It's fine, the animation. So the whole show plot basically isn't one. Plot doesn't make sense, not important. The whole point of the show is Baki. And he's this great, like, teenage, like, what is he, 16, 17-year-old? That's him. Absolutely ripped. Basically learning, like, mixed martial arts. And, like, trying to become a super strong fighter. Because his dad, Yojiro, is the strongest creature on Earth. He's ridiculously strong. He's an absolute monster. Everyone that ever even thinks about fighting him or talking to him is absolutely terrified by him. And Baki wants to become stronger than his dad, just because he hates his dad, because his dad is rightfully a cocky, arrogant ass, because he's the most powerful man alive. And he's done some very fucked up things, so Baki has reason to hate him. But the whole show is basically just a fight porn. It's just tons of super muscly dudes just absolutely fighting basically to the death. Like, most of the fights are to the death. And mostly just hand-to-hand combat of just absolute monsters. Definitely not, like, human laws of physics applying. Just a bunch of people get together and start just absolutely murdering each other in the streets for basically no reason, just the sake of the fight. Fight choreography for that part is pretty decent. A lot of it's very, like, interesting fights and intelligent fights, but that's basically all the show is. Like, their character writing is very average. The plot doesn't exist. It's just Baki needs to fight everybody so that he can get stronger, and then he can fight his dad. Muhammad Ali is in it, so that's cool. Then they get to fight. But yeah, great. Great if you like to just watch a bunch of fights and just want the, like, hype anime moments and don't really care all that much about plot or having to pay attention to what's going on. But yeah, it is what it is. Castlevania. I would put this... I'd probably put this above Attack on Titan, just for my personal enjoyment. I don't know if I'd put it above One Punch Man. I would probably put it above One Punch Man where it is in the anime. Manga One Punch Man would definitely be above that, but this is a tier list just for the anime. I would put Castlevania above One Punch Man, because Castlevania is actually finished, whereas One Punch Man is still ongoing, even in the manga. And the anime is nowhere near caught up to manga. But Castlevania, finished. Castlevania has great story, great characters, great character arcs. Basically everything's just super well written. There aren't really any plot holes that I can think of. Yeah. It's just a very solid, like, everything's great. The animation's great, the plot's great, the character writing is great, the character arcs are great. Just love basically everything about it. Like, it's very standard. Just, there's not a whole lot that you can say. Like, it doesn't have any parts that super stand out. Some of the fights, like the climaxes of when a character, like, meets the end of their arc and goes and just has this epic confrontation, and you get to see all this awesome stuff. It's just really good. Very good show. Absolutely love it. It's not complicated enough to warrant further discussion. It's just all around A tier. Very solid show. Next, Gabriel Dropout. This is another comedy, just like Devil's a Part-Timer. It's actually funny. It's like the exact opposite of Devil's a Part-Timer, because it's an angel who's not doing her job, instead of Satan getting a job at a fast food place. So, follows Gabrielle, not Archangel Gabrielle, just a girl angel named Gabrielle. And, of course, angels have to go down to Earth and live amongst humans to, you know, understand them better as, like, their final for angel school, so that they could be better guardian angels. They need to understand humans and their emotions, their day-to-day lives. So, she goes on down to Earth, gets her own, like, apartment, gets all tidied up, starts heading to high school. She discovers video games and MMOs, and does not do well in school after that. She is no longer peak angel. So she basically drops everything and just gets addicted to video games, just eats constant junk food, doesn't do homework, doesn't do anything she's supposed to do ever, and yeah. But of course, if angels do that, demons have to do the same thing. So Gab and another angel, and then 2 demons who have the same system but opposite, of course, are all at this high school, and it's just tons of fun hijinks. It's basically just a basic comedy. It does have an ending. Devil's a Part-Timer, I think, is still ongoing, but Gabriel Dropout has ended. And it's honestly pretty good. I'd probably keep it at the bottom of A. It's not better than any of these shows, but it's really hard to rank these next to these shows because it's a comedy. Like, it's not meant to be as deep and insightful. But some of the characters in Gabriel Dropout are actually really well written. And a lot of the comedy in Gabriel Dropout is really funny. I do love some of it. But yeah, it's just fun. Lots of fun. Fun show. And it's got a very satisfying ending. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I'd want to put it in S, but I might just put it somewhere in A. It's really hard to rank this, because JoJo's is like such a mixed bag. I'll probably put it there. JoJo's. Everyone knows JoJo's or has heard of JoJo's, probably. If you clicked on this video, you probably have. It's just a bizarre adventure, weirdly enough. Lots of just crazy things happening all the time. Every season or part is different JoJo, all members of the Joestar bloodline, and it's just this wacky adventure of everything that they get into. Vampires, and then later on stands. It's a very great showing of a very unique power system for anime, of like every character having their own unique ability, and it's just so creative and awesome. The characters is where the show kind of falls short. Most of the characters, when I think about it, don't entirely have an arc. Like, they kind of stay the same throughout the whole story. Some of the side characters have their own like mini arcs, but as a whole, the characters don't have like very big, dramatic like changes of character. But it is a very good show nonetheless. Like, the plot is always epic. The fights and the like choreography and the like creative use of all these wacky, insane, cool abilities, it's always so cool. Like, it's definitely a very enjoyable show. It's just great. Love it a lot. I don't know. It's hard to talk about these things without talking about specifics. But yeah, it's a good show. Very good show. Would not put it in S tier because I don't like the lack of a character arc, I guess. But the rest of the show, like, as a whole, for like writing, like mechanics and like plot and everything, still puts it above Castlevania and One Punch Man, which both do characterization amazing. Like, way better than JoJo's. Like, absolutely peak. But JoJo's, I think, is just really fun. I'm also very conflicted on whether I even want it above these things, though. I'll move Castlevania up. And I'd move One Punch Man to the top of A, maybe bottom of S, if we were going off the manga. But we are not. Death Note. Been a very long time since I've watched this. Probably bottom of A. Maybe just top of B. Didn't like Death Note all that much. Very masterfully written. The plot, it's very convoluted, but it all mostly makes sense. Up until the end. The ending was garbage, and I hated it. After, what is it? There are like 6 episodes or 12 episodes towards the end. I'd look it up, but I don't want to spoil anything. But basically, at a certain point, the plot dies. And that's not okay. And the show continues after that moment. And then it just kills itself even further. And the show, it just ruins it. I don't like it. They could have done better with the ending. But the characters, absolutely amazingly written. The plots and the machinations and all the intelligent insights are amazing. And I want to bump it down because I want these tiers to stay kind of even, but with what we have to come, I think B tier is going to start filling up. But not quite yet, because right now we are on to Hunter x Hunter. So Hunter x Hunter, very easily top of S. Best show ever. I think that this is just the best anime. And a lot of people agree. To be fair, but I personally also agree. I'm not biased by what everyone else ranks it. It is definitely peak anime. It's got, just like JoJo's, very creative and amazing power system, and all these unique abilities used in very unique ways. The character writing is absolutely amazing, and the plot is basically just the characters. It's the characters just doing what they want to do, going on these adventures, doing whatever they feel like, and it's so good and interesting. Because there still is the overall plot, but they're kids, basically. They're just going to do whatever they want to do. And it's always fun, it's always entertaining. And the, deeper meaning and the symbolism behind the story is absolutely amazing. It is 148 episodes of basically prologue. And it's still absolutely amazing. But the show ends with it being yes, and now there's all of this that exists. And that's so cool. It just blows the world building out of the water, because they're constantly building up this world and the characters inside of it. And it's this huge world with all these fascinating and amazing characters, and it's so fun and great. And it's got all these deep connections, full of emotional storytelling. Absolutely love it. And then there's more. And I have not read the manga, and nothing more has been animated at this point. The anime basically concluded, but the author, as of early last year, I think, has started writing the manga again and continuing with it, so it is very likely. And I think that there have been maybe some teasers about it. I can't remember. I'd have to look into it. The teasers might have just been for the fact that the manga is picked up again. But the anime is going to come back eventually, probably. And I can't wait for that. It's just such a good show. Speaking of good shows, we also need to talk about bad shows, with Sword Art Online. Dump that into C tier. This is an amazing idea. The plot, or the basic story, is absolutely an amazing concept of this VR gear where you put it on and it actually puts you in the game, basically, because it's interfacing with your brain instead of just hand controls and the headset, and you get sucked into this video game world, and then of course, it's evil, and then now if you die in the game, you die for real. But you have this anime, cool, like, magical world, basically an isekai, but it's a video game. So you have level ups, you got these abilities, you have skill trees and stuff, and it's all so cool. But then the plot, it's just kind of thrown away sometimes. The characters don't do anything. Kirito, very basic, like he's just your casual, overpowered hero character, goes off on his own as a loner, grinds a ton, and just levels up a ton, so he's like way stronger than everybody, even though he plays entirely on his own, doesn't have a party or anything, he's just way stronger than everybody else, main character syndrome to the max, and he's just this absolute badass, and he never changes. Doesn't have a character arc, never goes through these, like, he has emotional hardships, of course, like, there are trauma and big events happen to him, but he doesn't really change, ever. And then it becomes basically a harem anime. And then, like, halfway through season 1, I think, like, the first arc is basically dropped in the middle of season 1. And then it's just a completely different arc, and they just completely throw away their whole concept that they were going for, and they throw away all the stakes as well. It's just not great. Like, they just ruin so many things. A lot of it's very fun, and, like, engaging, and it's cool. Lots of rule of cool. But plot and characters just kind of get spat on. Very weak. Fun concept, wish that somebody better did it. Next, My Hero Academia. This would be at, like, the top of B, but I'm starting to think that it might go into the A tier based on recent events. And by recent events, I just mean Season 6. Some people would argue, I really like Season 4. Apparently a lot of people hated it, which I kind of don't entirely understand why. Maybe just because it was so slow and, like, it pulled away from the main villains and the plot and everything. But it had a lot of character stuff, and I love characters in anime. Like, that's what I focus on the most, which is why Hunter x Hunter is my absolute favorite, because the plot, well, it's still there, and it matters a lot. It's mostly just focusing on the characters and the characters' motivations and their decisions of why they're doing what they're doing. My Hero Academia has so many infinite number of side characters, so understandably it's very hard to keep track of all of that and have them all be their own people, which, like, seasons 1 and 2 do a pretty good job of establishing them, but then they kind of get dumped after they've been established because they kind of gotta focus on the main characters. And it's understandable. But season 4, like, it had a lot of, like, character focus. I mean, not, like, in-depth character focus or anything, but it was nice. I personally enjoyed it. And then season 5, it's very dark turns. Like, the story kind of twists a lot and, like, starts moving in a different direction, and I very much enjoyed that. Apparently people really didn't like it. Maybe it was pacing reasons, I think, has been some of the complaints I've heard. I just don't understand it. I don't think too hard about that, maybe. Maybe I just have a different mindset of looking at it. I don't know. I think it's fun. I do agree, however, Season 6 is absolutely amazing. And then it's a lot better. And, like, looking back on the show, I could see 4 and 5 as being not 5. I could see Season 4 and, like, the end half of Season 3 maybe being weaker. But I still love it. It's a fun show. It's a great show. But a lot of people love to hate it. Because it is very, you know, basic. Just main character, infinite power, fighting bad guys, basic. It's a good show. Love it. Like it. Next.
Full Metal Alchemist.
FMAB. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Number 2. Absolutely amazing story. banger characters, banger plot. Everything's interesting. The villains are lovely. I mean, interesting. Very interesting. It's just great. Great all around. Plot's very well written. Characters, very well written. Everybody's motivations, great. Another one where, like, the plot is basically just the characters' motivations, just driven by the characters. And that's the common thread amongst the S tier. It's just the characters drive the plot. There isn't... I mean, there obviously is a big overarching thing that they need to do, but it's mainly driven by the characters. Do just love that. It is great. But, yeah. And it's just a good show. It's got all these deep, like, emotional scenes. Roy Mustang is my absolute favorite character in the show. And I even might do a cosplay for him for, like, Halloween. I might even post that. So that would be, like, a face reveal, basically. I know that I'm doing this as a VTuber channel, but I really don't care too much about revealing myself. I just think that this is more fun, and I enjoy it more to do it as a VTuber. But, if I do, I'm really lazy and very forgetful, so I probably will forget, but I would do a Roy Mustang cosplay at some point, and I might upload that even. So around Halloween, maybe, unless I forget, in which case, fuck you. Fullmetal Alchemist! Absolutely amazing show. Very interesting. All the plot, very well written, characters well written, and it sets the tone real early in episode 4. And it has been like 5-10 years since I've watched Fullmetal Alchemist. I know it's in episode 4 that happens. And anyone that's watched the show knows what I'm referring to. Anyone that hasn't will not be spoiled. But to anyone who has seen it and knows what I'm talking about, I am sorry for reminding you. Edward. Great show. Love it. Next.
I paid my dues. I sold my soul. So tell me what is left for me when I've given up everything.
Vinland Saga. More recent anime. Once again, like last year or two, but season 2 just came out. Where do I want to put it? Yeah, probably right there. I think it's better than Jujutsu Kaisen. Or more interesting, at least. Season 2 is kind of hurting that reputation. It's still great, but I don't like where it's going particularly right now. Thinking back on it, season 1 wasn't that great either for me. It's a great show. The main character is kind of like a blank slate for a lot of it, which is the point of it. Like, it's a person, a human getting broken down and remade multiple times, and, like, what that does to a person, what it means to grow up, what it means to be, like, a man and, like, masculinity, but also, like, to deal with humanity and other people. I don't know. It's just interesting. But, even though the main character is kind of a blank slate, not that that's a bad thing, necessarily, there are other extremely well-written, interesting characters surrounding him that make up for that, and, like, keeps it all going. But, I didn't like the fact... I don't like the blank slate main character trope. Like, I understand that that's the point, and that it's not necessarily a bad thing, but I personally do not like it entirely. But Season 1 is very interesting and very cool. Lots of hype. Historical fiction of Viking times. And it's great. Great story. Season 2 slows down a lot, and I actually do enjoy that. It is very deliberately slowed down, broken main character, rebuilding him, reconstructing him, and making him a character. He is no longer a blank slate, or they're at least writing on the blank slate. Finally. Which, great. Love it. However, it is also like, a lot of people complained because there's significantly less fighting in the first few episodes of Season 2. I think all of Season 2 so far. Like, there's been like 3 or 4 fights, and they're not big ones. Not, like, big, grand stakes fights like Season 1. It's a completely different show in Season 2, basically. Very slow, very character-focused. But I personally very much like that. However, it has been dragging on a bit long, and I don't really see where it's going at this point. Like, it's kept going, and it's still slow, so I'm kind of concerned. But there's still more episodes coming out constantly. And having talked it over, I will move it back up, because it's pretty good. And it'll probably continue to be good, or once it finally picks itself back up from this slow batch of deep, melancholy character building, then it'll, I mean, I say get interesting again, but it'll pick up the pace again at least. And it's like anticipation. Like, you're waiting for it to get really good, because they're building up all of this stuff. But we haven't hit that drop yet, so I'm just waiting for that moment. Ruby. This might be controversial. This is my personal tier list of how much I enjoy these shows. And Ruby, I will put up there. Yeah, comparing them to all these other shows, that's where it goes. Absolutely love it. I know so many people hate it. No one hates Ruby more than Ruby fans. But good lord. I think that the difference is, it's got 9 seasons, it's been like 10 or 11 years of Ruby, but I watched it like 2 years ago or something. I watched all the way straight from Season 1 to Season 8, basically binged it. And because I watched it all at once, I think that tints the show differently for me than the people who actually like watched it from the beginning and waded through it. But for me, I love the show. All the characters, very well written, in my opinion. A lot of people disagree with that fact. And the plot is very interesting, and I think that it's well written. A lot of people disagree with that fact. Great show. I love it. Lots of everything about it is just interesting. It's all about the characters, again. Like, there is an overarching plot, but it's following the characters and their motivations and why they're doing what they're doing. And while there are, like, some anime moments, TM, it's great. Like, it's fun, the characters are great, the writing is great. One of my, like, favorite villains, I'd probably say, like, my favorite villain in fiction. Because, like, the mentality of, like, it's not my fault, it's yours. It's like this ancient, super powerful evil, and they're sending these warriors to go and fight it. And the villain, this ancient, unbeatable evil, is just like, you're responsible. It's like a My Hero Academia situation, or like talking to Nick Fury of the Avengers, of like, I am this ancient, super powerful evil. I'm basically like the most powerful being on the planet, and you know this. And yes, I am evil, and yes, I am coming to destroy the world and kill all of you. But you're actively sending these warriors to come and fight me. You're training these warriors and sending them to fight me, knowing they're going to die. You are killing these people, not me. I am inevitable. I'm going to do what I want. I'm going to destroy the world. There's nothing you can do to stop me. And every single person that you send to me that dies is on your hands. It's your fault. You are sending people to their deaths. Because I will not be stopped. It's just such a cool idea for a villain, I think. I love that. Very cool. Love this show. Chainsaw Man, another more recent one. Probably slide that in there. Or there. There's a bit of recency bias with when I watch these shows. It's been a while since I've watched Gabriel Dropout, but again, it's hard to compare a comedy to shonen or quote-unquote well-written anime. Hard to tell. But Chainsaw Man, only 12 episodes so far? Very interesting characters, super well written, it's amazingly animated. The plot so far is very straightforward. I mean, kind of basic, but again, only 12 episodes. And in those 12 episodes, they do a whole heckin' lot. Lots of characterization, deep emotional connections. It's pretty epic. And they set up a lot of intrigue going forward. So I'm excited to see where the show goes. There's only 12 episodes, there's not much to rank it off of, but it is set up very well. It has places to go, and I cannot wait to see what happens. I said that B would be filling up, but it really isn't. I might bump My Hero and Death Note down just to fill out the ranks instead of having a giant A. Yeah. Demon Slayer.
強くなれる理由を知った僕を連れて進め
Probably put it there. Top of B. Animation, beautiful. Probably better animated than anything else ever. It's just beautiful. It's literally a work of art. But is not consistently animated like that, and a lot of moments... I can't say that. I'm going to try and make an argument for why Season 1 of One Punch Man is better, but that's kind of personal preference. They're very different. Demon Slayer is art, but it is just art. It is like going to a museum and staring at a painting on the wall. Very beautiful, but I mean, I guess there's story behind paintings. But most people that look at it wouldn't see it. You'd have to know the story. Demon Slayer, not the same. This is a terrible analogy. Demon Slayer does not have an amazingly in-depth plot or amazingly in-depth characters, and it has a lot to be desired with the characterizations at times. Specifically for Nezuko, who never speaks, because fuck you for wanting that. But you got your main character, very good boy, the goodest boy in fact, gooder than all the other good boys in anime, so that bumps him up. But yeah, very straightforward plot, very straightforward characters. They'll probably have their arcs, we just haven't gotten that far. But it's got a lot of deep emotional impacts, very strong show for what it is. And again, it's an art. Very, beautiful. Next, and last but not least, Spy Family. This is another, basically a comedy or a sitcom. So, sitcom, slice of life. You got spy dad, psychic child, assassin wife, and no one knows who the others are. Dad's spy, has to infiltrate this government, so he has to do it through his daughter, get into this elite school, and get close to some of the elite kids there, to get close to their elitist parents. And the girl that he happens to adopt for this mission happens to be a psychic, because of course she is. No one knows that she's a psychic, but now she knows her dad's a spy, even though she's not supposed to know that, because he doesn't tell anyone that he's a spy because he's a spy. So he also has to get married, because the daughter has to have a mom to go to this very elitist school, which is so elitist, fuck you if you're a widow. It's just a very strict school, strict government system, and that is why it is difficult for the spies to get in and get this information that they need. So he goes and he marries the one person who's so desperate to get married on such short notice to someone who already has a child, and to cover up all this big lie is an assassin who can't afford to stay single, because you can't have 30-year-old single women in this strict society of, why are you this beautiful one that's still single? Are you a spy, huh? Are you a spy? No. She's an assassin. She can't let people get onto her. So she marries this spy, doesn't know he's a spy, he doesn't know she's an assassin. Psychic daughter, of course, can read their minds and knows what both of them are. It has to keep all the secrets. Can't let either of them know that she's psychic, and can't let either of them know who the others are. This is all established in episode 1. This is not a spoiler. That is the premise of the whole show, and it is amazing. So, with all that, I'm gonna put it there. That's great. I am proud of Gabriel Dropout being an A. I don't want to move it down, even though I just said the whole thing of not having an extended A column versus a B. Gabriel Dropout staying there. I do very much enjoy that show. It's been a long time since I've watched it, though. But yeah, this will be my final tier list. I will make another tier list, basically adding on to this, of all of the shows that I have watched. Probably. That might be a lot of shows, but I do have a terrible memory. So the list will be smaller, because I will forget many shows. And it'll only be the shows that I've actually properly watched. It will not be... I am only 21. I have not watched a million shows, and I have not had enough life to live to have watched many, many shows. So I will be expanding the tier list. Maybe it'll double in size, maybe less, but it will get a lot added to it. And we'll do that in its own separate video. This was just the anime section. But let me know what you think, you guys, I guess. If there's anything that you would move up or down as to your personal preferences. There's not a quality tier list. It's not ranking them by like how good they are. It's just by how much I personally enjoy them. But a lot of people would agree that Hunter x Hunter and FMAB are at the top. Because, well, trying to remember which animes I have and haven't watched, because I have a terrible memory, I was looking at IMDb, and surprisingly, Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood is actually higher than Hunter x Hunter. And Hunter x Hunter is ranked number 2 as the top anime. But that is very interesting. To me, at least. Because I thought everyone agreed Hunter x Hunter is the best anime. But it is, again, my personal preference. This is my ranking, this is how it stands. But let me know what you guys let me know what you guys think. Thank you for watching. Good lord.